Love is Blind, Season 8 features singles from the Twin Cities area. Mason and Meg shared a connection in the pods but didn't get engaged on the show. A new teaser for the rest of the season shows they may have gotten back together. Warning: major spoilers ahead for the first 9 episodes of Love is Blind, Season 8. Love is Blind is a Netflix series that has resulted in at least a few marriages, but not everyone meets their belle off. Love is Blind into multiple international franchises and a key part of its unscripted series business. How Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio created its Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio created its expressive stop-motion animation. This season, 5 couples make it out of the pods and on to their engagement trip. In a twist, a few couples from the pods, including 33-year-old cinematographer Mason and 31-year-old oncology nurse Meg, decide not to get engaged. At the beginning of episode 6, the two seemingly split up. Because they didn't get engaged, Meg and Mason don't feature in the 3 new episodes that aired this week, which focused on the couple's getaway and meeting each other's families back home. However, the new teaser at the end of episode 9 shows that they'll be back this season, and heavily hints that their relationship may not have ended for good. Mason and Meg hit it off on their first date in the pods. Mason, however, has another connection with 28-year-old artist Madison, who in turn is also dating 29-year-old commercial real estate broker Alex in the pods. In episode 2, Mason continues to bond with both Meg and Madison. In that episode, Meg learns about Mason's connection with Madison and starts to worry about their connection. Meanwhile, in episode 3, Madison continues to bond with Alex, and without naming names, Mason essentially tells Alex that Madison is his top pick, not Meg. Madison in the pods in Love is Blind, Season 8. Netflix. Things start to come to a head later in that episode when Madison and Mason talk about the fact that they're both dating other people. During that date, Madison tells him that Meg is focused solely on Mason. On their following date in episode 4, Mason tells Madison that he's committed to her. She asks if he feels like she put an ultimatum on him, which he denies, and then thanks him for telling her. Later, outside the pods, Madison says that Mason is her number 2. On a date with Alex later in the episode, Madison says that she intends to pursue a relationship with him. In episode 5, she breaks up with Mason. Later, in episode 5, Mason tells Meg that he validated Madison, but it ultimately did not feel right. I clearly said it to the wrong person, he says. Meg, however, is skeptical and asks Mason if he's now choosing her by default because Madison dumped him for Alex. In response, he tells her that she was always his first choice. Their date continues in episode 6. Mason reiterates his feelings, but Meg says that she won't be able to shake the doubt that he chose her because Madison became unavailable. She ends her relationship with Mason amicably, wishing him well. I feel a lot of regret, Mason says in a confessional. I should never have validated Madison over Meg, and that's something that I'm gonna have to live with. Ultimately, Madison and Alex don't get engaged in the pods either, after having a disagreement over Madison's breakup with Mason. As of the Season 8 premiere, Meg and Mason don't seem to follow each other on Instagram. Mason also doesn't appear to follow Madison or Alex. Meg doesn't appear to follow Madison, nor vice versa. Both Meg and Mason have posted about the new season on social media. Mason even poked fun at getting dumped by Madison over a plate of pancakes. At least Mason has a sense of humor about his Love is Blind experience. Mason Horacek Instagram. Despite not getting engaged, Mason and Meg's time on the show doesn't appear to be over. In a teaser for the next batch of episodes shown at the end of episode 9, Meg and Mason reunite with other participants in a Pod Squad meet-up, and crucially, they seem to arrive together. The second I got my phone, I was like, how's Mason? Meg recounts. He's a huge liar, Madison, now with bright pink hair, emotionally says. It's unclear if she's replying directly to Meg in the context of that conversation, or referring to someone else since she doesn't say Mason's name. They're also not divulging anything about their current relationship status in interviews with press, though what they have said doesn't rule out a reunion. When reflecting on the love triangle in her Love is Blind experience, Meg told Glamour that she's very happy with how life has transpired since the show ended. Mason, for his part, told Vulture that Meg was the clear person for him and that he knew all along the two were super compatible. He even compared their romance to the movie Moulin Rouge, calling their relationship the perfect love story that should have been, but ends in tragedy. Dramatic. A bit, But it's also very much the kind of thing a guy who was still trying to make amends to his current girlfriend for his treatment of her might say. Zach and Bliss are the fan-favorite season 4 couple who got engaged post-pods after Zach initially proposed to another contestant instead of her. They ultimately married in the season finale, and went on to have a child together. At this point, it's impossible to tell for certain whether Meg and Mason got back together outside the pods. We'll just need to tune into the next batch of episodes and hear them explain what happened during the pod meetup.